Hello, hello. Happy Monday, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Just gonna fix my, I should do a video on scarves because I was never, because I'm such an expert, I was never into like hair and, wasn't really good at that stuff. So when I got diagnosed and I had to start wearing, scarves and hats and things, it was kind of a new thing for me. So I should do something where I share resources. Okay. So I'm really excited about the video today because this is a really important topic for everyone, but particularly for people who are undergoing chemotherapy or who have gone through chemotherapy and want to support their detoxification pathways. So today we're going to talk about the liver, toxicity overload, chemo, how it fits into that, and, chemical sensitivities and all that. I'm going to try to kind of keep it short. So let's just jump right in. So when we're talking about toxins, as I'm sure you know, there are so many that we're exposed to daily, right? So there are two types of toxins. There are endotoxins, which are toxins that are byproducts of, reactions that happen within our own body, so byproducts of metabolism. And then there are exotoxins, which are toxins that we are exposed to. So that's one way you can remember it is exotoxins, we're exposed to them, so EX. So that's things like drugs, prescriptions, over-the-counter medications, pesticides, paint on the wall, that releases volatile organic compounds, things like brand new carpet, different things like that. Hi. If you are watching this video, please comment below. And if you are watching the replay, just comment replay. So there are so many different things that we're exposed to, right? So exotoxins and endotoxins. And then we have this amazing body that God designed just so intricately and so detailed that we're able to process all of these things and flush them out of our system. Primarily, a lot of this work happens in the liver. So your liver is like your filtration organ. And so there's different phases of detoxification, however, within the liver. So phase 1 detoxification, it uses oxidation, reduction, and hydrolysis. Those are like the technical terms for what happens. But basically, in phase 1, your liver uses enzymes to neutralize toxins. However, the byproducts of that action can still be dangerous for your body, and so it needs to go into phase 2 detoxification, where it's conjugated and it is basically neutralized and turned water soluble so that you can then flush it out of your system, okay? So again, whether it's endotoxins or exotoxins, whether it's stuff that your body produces or stuff that you're exposed to, it needs to be neutralized and broken down and then flushed out of your system, okay? So there's that 2-phase process. And I'm going to post some helpful little pictures below this video when I post it, just so you can kind of look at them, and it kind of explains this as well. But one of the important things to know is that phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification require specific nutrients in order to work, okay? So why is this really important? Well, when you're talking about chemotherapy, it is, and we know, even doctors and nurses say it's poison. It is toxic. That is what it is. It's supposed to be that way because we want it to kill certain cells. Typically, we would avoid things that kill cells, right? But for chemotherapy, their intention is to kill those chemo cells. And so that we know is a very toxic treatment. And so that's work that our body, that our liver has to do to break that down and flush it out of our system, right? So the thing about it is when phase 1 get stressed out. Okay, so if you have a lot, like a high toxin exposure, this can lead to free radicals. You've probably heard of free radicals in sort of a negative term because it's associated with aging and all that kind of thing. And raise your hand, comment below. I'm raising my hand. If maybe during chemotherapy you felt like you started to look older. Okay, so it's normal, like this is a very stressful thing for your body. But high toxin exposure basically stresses out, it burdens phase 1, and it's going to lead to high free radicals. And then we really want that burden to get into phase 2. But the problem is if your liver can be overburdened. And when it's overburdened, it's not functioning quite right, or it's not flushing things out quickly enough, then basically you have this toxic exposure and overloaded liver. And that's something we don't want. Now, I know that your oncologist is going to monitor your liver numbers and your kidney numbers and all that kind of stuff, but you don't want anything to delay treatment. You don't want to slow this down. So what can you do? You really want to support your body's natural ability to detoxify, right? And so there are a lot of things that we can do. And primarily, we can do this through nutrition. It's pretty cool. So I have some notes. Like I said, I'm going to drop these below. But your nutrients that are required for phase 1 are things like riboflavin, niacin, peroxidine, and folic acid. Actually, I would say folate. Folic acid is the synthetic version of that B vitamin, and B12. Those are all B vitamins. So B2, B3, B6, B12. Glutathione is a major antioxidant. Our body actually produces glutathione. You can also supplement with it. Branched chain amino acids, flavonoids, phospholipids, vitamins A and D. So a lot of vitamins and nutrients, okay? And then phase 2 really requires amino acids. So when people talk about protein, actually I have my protein shake right here. Protein is critical for detoxification, efficient detoxification. Remember, phase 2 is really important because it's what helps makes all the toxins and all the chemicals in your body water soluble and able to be excreted through your urine and through your poop. Okay, so it's really important. By the way, I should have maybe started a little bit more with this concept, but pooping is extremely important. I mean, for detoxification, liver health, it's extremely, extremely, extremely important because basically all of these things have been marked and broken down and packaged up to get out of your body. And if they don't get out of your body, some of them can be reabsorbed. And so that, again, leads to that overburdening, that overtoxicity level, and we don't want that. We want, if something toxic comes into our body, we want our liver to be able to break it down, and then we want to be able to flush it out, okay? So that's really important that we're pooping. Side note, that's a different video on tips to avoid constipation during chemotherapy, but you can totally do it. Like, you should not be, it's a common side effect, but it's something totally avoidable. So we want to make sure that we're pooping regularly and we're not getting backed up, okay? So we need all these nutrients for phase 1, and there we go. I'm trying to get the picture to be a little bit brighter. I just messed it up. There we go. All right. So we need all these nutrients for phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, and this is how you can get it through your nutrition, and this is why nutrition is so important, you guys. So important, because this is one of the most toxic, most stressful periods of your life. And the last thing we want to be doing during this period of our lives is bombarding our systems with inflammation from fast food and lots of sugar and lots of oxidative oils that are inflammatory. And, that's just more stress. That's all it is. It's not nutrition, right? Like when you look at a Happy Meal at McDonald's, that's not nutrition, that is stress for your body. But when you look at a plate that has broccoli and maybe some black beans and some cilantro and some pasture-raised beef and things of that nature, and maybe some fresh blueberries, that is nutrition. That is fuel for your cells. That is information. That is all of the nutrients that we need for your liver and for your detoxification process and all of those wonderful things that we need. So phase 1 is primarily things like fruits, vegetables, cilantro, and parsley, things like that. So a lot of berries, antioxidant rich berries, a lot of fruits and veggies, get a lot of those nutrients in there, a lot of those vitamins. Phase 2, like I said, is primarily amino acids. And so you can get really good quality amino acids from things like bone broth, eggs, fish, gelatin, and I would throw in there as well, another great resource would be beef liver. So beef liver, while it sounds completely gross, you can get it through supplements. You don't have to actually eat it. You know, our grandparents ate liver and onions all the time and they lived and they enjoyed it probably, but you don't have to get the same benefits. But liver, so here's a fun fact about your liver. Your liver stores a lot of vitamins and nutrients. So do the livers of animals. So if it's from a healthy animal source like grass-fed beef or pasture-raised poultry or something like that, if it's from a healthy animal, then they've stored all these healthy vitamins and nutrients in their liver as well. And so when you eat it, you get this really dense, amazing source of nutrition, much denser and more nutrient rich than you're going to get in the muscle meat, which is typically what we eat when we eat steak and things like that. So organ meats are extremely nutrient dense and would be a great addition to your diet, especially, you know, if you want to just add some supplementation. But make sure it's from a grass-fed source. I like Vital Proteins beef liver. Take it every day. Love it. So a couple things here. So primarily phase 1, you're going to want fruits, vegetables, and like things like cilantro and parsley. Phase 2, you definitely need those amino acids. So bone broth and eggs and healthy sources of meat. And that's going to really support your liver, because when we are exposed to all these toxins, I mean, this is something that like everybody should do, but us going through treatment where it's so stressful on our bodies, we really want to make sure that we're breaking these toxins down and flushing them out of our system. I'm just going to give you a personal example really quickly about chemical sensitivity. So chemical sensitivity is like if you smell a perfume and you get really, you're like, oh, that gives me a headache, or I really don't like that, or you have a reaction to it. Or maybe you go to, you know, someplace that's been painted recently or has new carpet or something, and you're like, oh, that gives me a headache. That's chemical sensitivity. Now, because of the treatment that you're going through, you probably, or you are, I guess I shouldn't say probably, but you are more likely to experience something like chemical sensitivity. And again, that's just because it's an overload of your system. You're more sensitive. So everyone has this tolerance bucket, right? Your bucket is pretty full during chemo and after chemo, and why you're getting these things out of your body, okay? And so your tolerance bucket is pretty full right now, and so when you're exposed to these extra things, you're going to be more sensitive. We're more likely to be sensitive. So for example, my church did a remodel. They added on this whole, I guess not remodel, they added on as an addition this whole new section to the building. And so when I went back to church, there was new carpet, new paint, and it was a really strong smell. And even weeks and months later, it still has some residual smell. So here's something that you can do for the chemical sensitivity. This also may be something you want to get, like if your blood counts are really low and you want to be around people, just a good idea. This is a VOG mask, VOGMASK. So this is a filtration system, and then there's like a 3-layer filtration system to the actual mask itself. So looks pretty fun, right? I got a little, it's like rainbows and unicorns and stuff or something. I don't know. Is there a unicorn? No, just colorful rainbows and hearts, okay, and flowers. So kind of a fun one. But basically this is, a filter so that you can breathe in and out. And this has like a carbon layer that helps filter the air as well. And it really does make a difference. I would highly, highly, highly suggest if you travel during treatment or anytime close to being after treatment. Like I traveled like 2.5 weeks right after treatment was done, and I wore this on the plane, okay? So I would highly recommend this for traveling, for flying. Anytime you're going to be exposed to new building products, anytime you're going to be exposed to strong scents, or just keep it in your purse. And if you start, thinking, oh, there's a really strong smell here and I'm having a reaction to it, just put this sucker on. You kind of look funny, but people understand, they just do. So Vogue Mask, I think on Instagram it's Vogue Mask USA. Really, really, really great product. And I don't remember it being that expensive either. Okay, so another thing, we were talking about nutrients. So getting your nutrients, obviously we're talking about food here. So lots of greens, lots of fruits, proteins and amino acids. And one of the things to know when you're thinking about getting these nutrients in order to absorb your nutrients, you need to have a healthy gut lining. If you don't have a healthy gut lining, your nutrients are not going to be absorbed, because there's this layer of cells in your gut that have little fingers, and those little fingers are called villi and microvilli, and they're in charge of absorbing the nutrients from the foods that you eat. So if those are damaged or inflamed or whatever, then you're not going to be sufficiently absorbing the nutrients from your food. So one way to sort of bypass this, besides, making sure that you're working on your gut health, which again is another video, because chemo trashes your gut, but there are steps that you can take to protect it and to help it heal quickly in between treatments. But again, another topic, to kind of bypass that concern and make sure you're getting a lot of nutrition, there are different layers of absorbability of vitamins. And so you may consider, talk with your practitioner or your naturopath or whoever you're working with, you may want to consider taking a really good multivitamin, but at the bottom of that list is like a hard tablet that's hard for your body to absorb. And then above that is like maybe a chewable or a gel or something like that. Above that is a liposomal liquid formula. Liposomal means it's formulated differently, and usually that's something that's put under your tongue and it goes into your bloodstream. Well, I just learned about this recently and been using this. Isotonics is a level above that, and it's my understanding that isotonics, again, it goes into the chemical structure of the product, and isotonic, so liposomal gets into your bloodstream, so boom, that's good, that's better, right? We want it to get into our bloodstream, so we bypass the digestive part, because that can be compromised during chemo. But isotonic goes a step above into the delivery into the cells, is my understanding. So there's a vitamin, this is a powder actually, that you pour into the cap and then you put water in it, and dissolves, you drink it on an empty stomach and it gets right in there. And this is a brand called Nutrametrics, and I purchased this through a practitioner, so you could check that out as well, or just look for an Isotonics multivitamin. But that would be another way to make sure that you're getting a really high quality dose of nutrition during treatment or after treatment, because again, the gut is really compromised during this time. So we want to be supporting the liver, and in order to do that, it needs nutrients, and in order to get nutrients, we want to make sure that we're absorbing them. So you want to make sure that you're either prioritizing your gut repair, like number one during treatment, that it's like really making an effort to heal that gut in between doses of chemotherapy. And also another consideration would be to do a multivitamin that you know is getting into your bloodstream or getting directly into your cells. So liposomal or isotonic would be a great way to do that. So I hope this wasn't too much information. Please comment below if this was helpful. Feel free, this is a public page, feel free to share this with anyone really. It doesn't have to be anyone going through chemo, but feel free to share it if this was helpful information. And as always, please drop any questions you have below, and I will talk to you soon. Happy Monday.